Hello, everybody. I'm Martin Woodward. I was going to do Martin Woo at Microsoft.com, but Pete's ruined that forever for me now. So if you don't know what that means, then go look at his LinkedIn. At Martin Woodward on Twitter, if you want to send some abuse for me being late, that'd be great. And then we'll get cracking. So what I was going to do tonight was just kind of talk through some of the sort of habits and some of the things we learned on our team as we sort of did our journey towards DevOps. DevOps is never, it's a destination you're never going to get to, you know what I mean? It's a journey we're going to be on forever, and we're going to get better at as we go. But we'll talk about that more as we get started. So let's get cracking. He says, someone's switch this on. Right, so that's how to get hold of me. Azure.com whack DevOps is where I hang out. We've got a video recording of this session, and we're going to put the slides available as well. So, yeah, don't feel like you need to transcribe everything. It's all right. And, yeah, so we'll get cracking. Right, I work on a thing called Azure DevOps, which used to be called VSTS, which used to be called Visual Studio Online, which used to be called TFS Online and TFS Preview. I can't remember, and then TFS. I'm probably missing out some names along the way. So, with that in mind, who uses Azure DevOps? What's called Azure? Oh, wow. Awesome. Who uses Team Foundation Server? Cool. Who uses something else? There we go. Do you want to shout out what you use, just so I know? I won't be sad, don't worry. If it's GitHub, I'll be even happier, you know what I mean? They're awesome, but yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay, well, there we go. Grand. Yeah. So this is that's what I work on, Azure DevOps. And Azure DevOps, what we did when we moved it from VSTS, when we renamed it, we split it into services. So, sorry, I try not to have the advert on too long, which is why I keep having to go back to it. So, like, Azure Boards, Azure Pipelines, repos, test plans, artifacts. We've kind of split the service out into the individual services that people can kind of understand and get their head around. And also what it helps is kind of people decide which one they want. So if you're using like GitHub, but you want builds, it makes a lot more sense to use Azure Pipelines than it might do to use a thing called TFS, which as far as you can remember is like some crazy centralized version control that you have to resign before they'll make you use again, you know, and things like that. So we're trying to split the services out, make it more approachable, and also make them a lot more open, so they're a lot more, you know, pluggable with each other. So if you want to use Azure Pipelines with GitHub or with GitLab or with Bitbucket, then it just works out the box. And we're doing that with all the other services as well, making them more open, making them more pluggable, making it easier to pick and choose. Now, I joined Microsoft, let's have a look, exactly, yep. Well, yeah. I was talking to for the video, I had to get a motorbike, you know, passenger bike here. And I was like saying to him, you know, so when did you start this gig? And he went, what time is it? And I was like, oh yeah, classic joke. I fell into that one. So, but I joined Microsoft November 2009. So what's that? 9 years? Yeah, 9 years ago this week. I joined through acquisition. So small company I was doing as a partner, a company called Team Prize. We used to do like the Java and Eclipse tooling for TFS at the time. And I did it with a few of my mates because we were like, what's the thing that Microsoft will never want to get into? You know what I mean? Eclipse tooling for Java developers, for TFS. They're never going to want to touch that market. We'll be safe as houses. So did that, started off as open source and did it with a few mates. We actually did it as a company first, and now it's open source again, which is good. Made me feel happy. Joined November 2009, and I was like, oh, you know, I don't know if I'm going to stick it out here, but I'm going to do my 2 years that you have to do to make sure you get any money. I've still got the same mortgage and the same car, so I'm not quite as good at negotiating as the GitHub people. But, you know, I did, you know, I needed to stick around a couple of years to get any of it. And I was like, I'm not sure how long I'm going to last, but I'm going to stick it through. The first training course I did was for shipping TFS 2010 and Team Explorer Everywhere, which was the Java client 2010. Now, I was coming from shipping always-on software, you know, delivering it out to an Eclipse update site, web stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then the first course I had to go on after the usual, like, big company courses, you know, like how not to go in front of HR, how not to sue a government employee, bribe a government employee, you know, all the usual stuff. The first, like, job-specific training I had to go on was how to approve the hologram that went onto the DVD that my software was going to ship on. We'd never even burnt our software onto DVDs before. I had to learn about ISO images and all that sort of stuff I'd long forgotten. So I was like, see how this goes. And my team were agile. My team were doing stuff, quite sort of iteratively. Unfortunately, the company luckily just came more and more closer to how I was used to working. So where I was doing agile and shipping to the web, the company started going agile and started doing electronic releases. And, as we were going into services, we learned sort of more DevOpsy things, and we started doing a lot more open source. And, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty awesome, And while I've been here, I've just been the luckiest I could ever have wanted to have been in terms of when I landed in Microsoft, and and the transition the company's been through over those past 9 years. It's just been an absolute privilege to witness. So yeah, started off doing agile. We then first shipped what was called it says VSTS Preview there. It was actually called TFS Preview, as we all know. We shipped that June 2012. I'd been using it since about April 2011, I think. Our team were the first team over on the online service. And we were kind of doing it as an experiment. We didn't really think big companies would want to use the source code online yet. We thought, everyone kind of wants to keep things in the data center. It's the family jewels. But we thought, well, we'll do it because it helped us be more iterative, be more agile. So we started and we deployed to the service. And then when we wanted to deploy a new build to the service, we used to switch the service off, deploy the service, take a few weeks kind of thing, switch it back on again. We're kind of learning how to do this and learning how to run services in Azure. So it was a rough start to begin with. Went public once we'd managed to get online upgrades going, which was June 2012. And then, as I say, we've gone through. And then, it's literally a journey to DevOps from shipping in a CD to shipping an always on, always active service. When I joined the company, this was an org chart that got published around the same time. And you notice, you've got the different around Silicon Valley. My favorite one's Oracle, which, the only people Microsoft's lawyers are afraid of are Oracle's lawyers, just because there's more of them, really. There's more of them than there's people on planet, it seems. Anyway, that was Microsoft when I joined, and that really rang a bell to me. That was definitely how it felt. And I was in kind of this yellow box down here, which was the smaller one in a division called DevDiv, developer division. And you've got Windows and Office. And everybody had their own engineering systems. Everybody had their own way of doing things. Nobody really talked to each other. If you were to move from Windows to Office, then you had to learn a completely new stack. The completely separate engineering teams. It was as hard to move between parts of the company as it was to come in from the outside. Probably harder because you've got preconceptions. And that changed.